Hello YouTube family, it is a rainy early spring morning here and I was inspired to make a video about a topic that keeps coming up in my conversation, some of my client work, and it's about the root center in human design. So some of you may know I work quite extensively with human design in a very embodied, practical, grounded way, and we have these 9 centers in our bodygraph chart, and every center correlates. You could think of it like rooms in the house of your own personal mansion, and each room has a theme. Each room has a certain expression and activity and energy that it provides you, or a way that it expresses or doesn't express. And the root center is one of the pressure centers. So it's a center of physical pressure, of really seeking to ground your energy, to focus on preservation and sustenance and more of the like practical, tangible matters of life. And it is the root chakra, so it's very earthly and even primitive in a way. It's the acquisition of food and resources and money and a partner, you know. It's like all of those things bring the root center a sense of safety, calm, ease. And when one does not have those things acquired, it can put a lot of pressure to get them. Pressure to get the money, pressure to get the resources, pressure to get the people, pressure to get the job or whatever it is, the food, the things, which can be beautiful if it's being utilized in a very conscious, aware, responsible way, and it can really become quite materialistic. So let's talk about the definition of the root center. For those who have it defined, they have a very core need and a core driver, a core pressure center from within their chart to acquire security, foundations, resources, money, food, wealth, home. It's like all of the very practical things of this 3D reality. Now, for those who have the root center undefined, their relationship to resources, stability, even like food or acquiring things, is actually here to be more unreliable. And it doesn't mean that the undefined root people can't have those things or don't want those things. It's just the expression of one's own, I don't know, personality or characteristics isn't necessarily so driven by that. Now, of course, it can unconsciously become driven by that because open centers will absorb and amplify, and the more open centers you have in your chart, regardless of what your type is, you will feel more conditioning from the outside world, right? So if someone has 2 defined centers and 7 open centers, they're really going to feel a lot of the outside world's conditioning. Now, if someone has 5 centers defined and 4 centers open in their chart, they're going to be, a little bit more on the side of having their own bolstered energy. And this really doesn't matter with your type. It's about your centers. I know some projectors who have 5 to 6 centers defined, and then I know some generators who have 3 centers defined, and they're much more empathic and open. So it's really about your unique chart dynamics. Now, what has been interesting for me to reflect on the open root is that I've been working with a lot of open root people, and I have a lot of friends in my life who have open root, and I myself have open root. And it was such a learning journey when I started embracing my study with the centers in human design like 6 years ago, because I could really feel the damage of external pressure on my open root center. My open root center wants to be, right, a little bit more unattached. Open root centers want to be a little less attached and fixated on pressurized task mastering and getting a lot done and, ticking off the whole to-do list and securing money and foundations and all of those things. And from a young age, that was never my MO. I've never been someone who's very money driven. Do I like to have really good food and the ability to live the kind of lifestyle I like to? Yes. Am I money driven? No. And sometimes that's also been to my detriment. And really with that open root, there's a sense of connecting more to the beauty of adaptability, versatility, and I could even say resilience. And these are things that, in Stoic philosophy and Stoic meditations, they're very prized and idolized. And then sometimes in more of the trauma healing scenes, they're kind of demonized. Like, do we have to be versatile? Do we have to be adaptable? But when I look at the sheer nature of it, I think that for open root center people, your gift is really your ability to hone your adaptability, to allow yourself to not be driven by the same things that a lot of the world is driven by, or that mass culture is driven by. You know, what you have and what you own and what you do. Those are all components to an extent of the root center. The pressure to do in the world, the pressure to make things happen, the pressure to persevere and press on and tick off your whole to-do list and get it all done and commit. Which actually, this is going to open a whole beautiful can of worms for reflecting on this open root center. And of course, this is my own unique interpretation. I work with human design in a very evolutionary, embodied way. So take what resonates, leave what doesn't. And for me, having a very like open root in my chart, I feel very at home based on how I'm responding to a physical land and environment, right? And like, I think for a lot of people, the sense of home and being settled and secure is having stability, and like, you know what's happening every single day, and you know where you go to get your coffee, and you know where you eat, and you know what you buy, and you know where your money's coming from, and you know all these things. For me, those things actually don't bring me a whole lot of fulfillment if I'm not in like right relationship with that place or those things. If I don't feel an energetic like congruency and match, for me that's the much more important thread. And I do tailor a lot of that down to my open root. I know for myself, I can have a certain level of adaptability and versatility and actually feel really good and healthy in my system that I know some defined people in my life and that I've worked with don't have. Defined root people, like, they need that security and that stability. And right, when we don't understand these things about each other and our differences, it can be so easy to homogenize and box everyone into some category, which is so funny because a lot of these spiritual tools are built to like break us out of boxes and hierarchies and comparison, but sometimes they end up doing the same exact thing. Whereas truthfully, like, we all are so individual and unique, and what serves one of us might not serve the other. So some themes I've noticed in open root people is that they really thrive when they have like a high level of flexibility in their lifestyle. Now that doesn't mean, right, they're not going to want to commit. They might find something where they're like, ooh, yeah, I'm ready to dive in, and I'm going to absorb and amplify the pressure of the team or the environment or the job or the client to really like hone in and get it done, but not if it's not correct for them, right? If it doesn't check out with their strategy and authority or their own personal soul desires. And open root people, I do feel, have a certain gift they can bring through the lens of versatility and adaptation, which I think is one of the most incredible skill sets, like especially in the times we're living in and how society culturally and systemically is changing so much. To be able to adapt and have that gift of adaptation, or work the skill set of adaptation and acquire that and build that, is so invaluable. And something about open root center as well is that our open centers in general can sometimes give us like an x-ray vision if we're looking from a clear mirror, which is hard to gauge. How can you know if you have a clear mirror? I suppose if you don't feel like a lot of judgment or emotional attachment to your perception, it's probably decently clear. But open centers can really, because you're taking in the world around you, you're absorbing it, amplifying it, you can get a pretty good gauge on the healthiness, right? The health of other people's fixations. You know, root center wants to grab onto things. It wants to grab out of security. It might not even be out of love or truth or beauty or like integrity. It might be out of security. I need this person for security, and I need this food for security, and I need this home for security, and I need this paycheck for security. Root center wants the pressure to secure. And open root people, if you're like honoring your open root center and you're like making sure you don't fixate on things that aren't really healthy for you, even if they seem stable or what society deems as like stable and grounded and good for your root center, if you're taking care of your own body, you can really have quite an intuitive sense around what security is real. You know, what kind of security you're perceiving in the world is real, or what kind of security is deriving like true safety and not just attachment, or, you know, coming from a fear-based conditioning, which is very linked to the root center. It's very linked to fear, and fear being a great thing, right? fear of survival makes us want to preserve our bodies and eat really well, and fear of, you know, whatever, like being homeless and not having money could inspire one to really secure their foundations, like whatever it may be. Fear of not being able to provide for your children could really inspire you to want to have a really great job. And open root center people, we just do it a little differently. You know, we're not really here to be driven by fear and pressure. We're here to be inspired. We're here to be more open. We're here to be more adaptive and resilient and changing. And, you know, my life journey has definitely been an interesting expression of the open root center. Like, I definitely like grounding. I like feeling held and safe and grounded by a place. And I've developed routines that help me do that no matter where I am, right? I think a lot of people can perceive my life from the outside and think, Kelly just like moves around and she lives in so many places, but I have really solid routines that support me. I have really good structures that support me. Also, when I go to places, I really land there, like whether it's for 6 months or longer or shorter, like I really land into a place. I go out and I connect with nature. I take a lot of time alone. I meet the people who live around me. I find what I need to actually feel safe and grounded and secure without pressuring myself to do it in some way that, you know, is seemingly the right way. And open centers will express in kind of like a spontaneous way. It's not stock standard. So it's just kind of like an open share on the root center. I think it's a fascinating center to work with because it is so apparent in the mainstream collective. Root center is very present, and it has been for so long. It's like the pressure for security, finances, material acquisition, foundations, being settled. And I think all of that's changing. I really think it is. And I think that every component of human design, you know, it's always up for interpretation. I will definitely say I'm not like a diehard purist human designer. I think that there are some faults in the system, and there is also a lot of beauty. And we all have such a unique constitution and composition. And I think we all have unique ways in which we shine and can like provide different lights for each other. And I think the open root provides a little bit of that light for humanity. It's like, what if we loosen the grip on fixating on security, fixating on foundations, and actually trusted in something greater, trusted in the movements, trusted in the earth, learned how to derive a rootedness from within oneself, from within one's connection to nature, and see how nature is always changing. And if you have an open root and you're like really understanding how to work with this, I would definitely recommend connecting back to earth wisdoms, earth-based wisdoms, earth-based practices, nature practices, whether it's stuff that I like to do, like cold plunging or rolling in the mud or dancing to the sounds of the wind in the ocean, or prayer and ritual and going out and connecting to the earth, or going and watching the sunrise every morning and saying your intentions for that day or for people that you care about, right? It's like connecting back to the greater root, the greater earth that holds us all, can be a really beautiful way to decondition your open root, but also receive really beautiful, clear guidance on how you want to move through life. And I would even say if you have a defined root, that can be a powerful way too, to like wash the mirror if you've, you know, acquired any debris on that mirror of what you think you need to be safe, but actually coming back to, what is it that I'm truly going to use this pressure for? Is it serving something good and true and beautiful and integral? So that's my little share on the open root. I hope that my camera wasn't too shaky. I'm like holding it up here with my hand. But I've got more videos coming on all sorts of things. And yeah, let me know what your root center is in the comments below, if it's defined or undefined, and if you also have an undefined root, if you notice that you really don't thrive under that intense pressure, and you got your own way of doing things and moving through life, and are finding a lot of beauty and growth in the acquired, grown skill set of adaptation. Okay, lots of